Good afternoon, Commissioners, members of the public, and others who have joined with us for our meeting of the Washington County Board of Commissioners. We meet on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 4 o'clock. Our designated start time is 4 o'clock, and we've reached that critical minute. We will begin today's meeting with an invocation offered by Pastor Greg Wright of the Westside Baptist Church. Following the invocation, we will have a Pledge of Allegiance led by Lieutenant Colonel, is that correct rank? Dave Houston of the United States Marine Corps and Iron Man extraordinaire. So we will proceed in that order. Pastor Wright.
Let's pray. Father, we are thankful for the privilege we have of living in this great country and also in this great county in the area here. We thank you that as we look around, we can see the beauty that you've created and we can enjoy it. Pray for our commissioners that you'd give them wisdom and that you would direct their decisions and their thoughts. Pray for the benefit of our people. We ask, Lord, as you've commanded us in prayer, we ask that you would give us a good and a peaceable life. Pray that the Lord Jesus will be glorified in this community. We look forward to what you're going to do for us, and we ask all of this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stand and join me in a pledge to our great nation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Houston, for your service to our nation and our community and our neighborhood. You're a great example, and you do. And thank you, Pastor Wright. We appreciate it. Today's consent agenda is a means of expediting routine matters which come before the Commission for approval. The consent portion of the agenda is approved by one non-debatable motion. If any commissioner wishes to remove an item from the consent portion of the agenda, that item becomes the first item of business on the regular agenda.
Let me read in the items and then we'll proceed from there.
Yep, you'll make a motion to
Adopt this consent agenda for the following items. Consideration of the auditor approved claims for payment for June 5th, 2019 through June 18th, 2019. Item B, consideration of the regular commission meeting minutes of May 21st, 2019. Item C, consideration of administrative adjustments in real property. Consideration of administrative adjustments in personal property. Item D. Item E, consideration of application for property tax abatement, 2 items. Consideration in item F of contract number 160502 between the State of Utah Administrative Office of the Courts and Washington County Sheriff's Office for bailiff and perimeter security. Item G, consideration of approval of plan for expenditure of revenue raised through the beer tax state fiscal year 2019, reporting period July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Item H, consideration of renewal of agreement with Community Solutions Consulting for consulting and lobbying services for the Washington County Support Services. Item I, consideration of letter supporting the sovereignty of the Shivwoods Band of Paiutes. And item J, acknowledgement of publishing notice of adoption of ordinance number 2019-1138-0 on Tuesday, June 11th, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, there was
Item 35H.
a discussion about H.
Yeah, I would propose that not be included in this particular list of agenda.
That is your motion. I'll second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and supported in support of the consent agenda and all items except H. Excuse me. All in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The first item of business is item H. consideration of renewal of agreement with Community Solutions Consulting for consulting and lobbying services for the Washington County Court Support Services. Commissioners.
Well, we've discussed this, and we still are doing some fact-finding on our own and the effectiveness of this, and I think we ought to discuss that again with support services and table it. My motion is to table it this time.
Okay, I will second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to table for another meeting, or to indefinitely defer, or what's your?
I think we can solve it by the next meeting.
Okay. Table item H. All in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote also aye. Motion is tabled. Item number 1 on our regular agenda is consideration of purchase request. For that, we have Ray Boyer, our purchasing agent. Good afternoon, Ray.
Good afternoon. Okay, the first one we got here is for the assessor's office. They are buying a 2020 Ford Fusion for $22,600.24. They were disposing of a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which the COA, the Senior Citizen Centers, will be taking on. And we just did a department-to-department transfer of that money for $2,000. So we will be paying out $22,600.24, but $2,000 will be transferred from COA to
From
the assessor's
COA
office.
to the assessors.
The next one is for the COA, the Council on Aging, for a 2019 Ford F-150, and all the accessories that go with it to make it a Meals on Wheels truck, which is the hot and cold food boxes and different little things that go with it to make it function properly. And that's a total of $45,500. The next one is for elections. This is for 24 e-poll books. And that is for a total of $41,285. But the state will reimburse us $27,961. The next one is for bleachers at Legacy Park for the boxing ring, and that is a total of $75,095. And then the final one is for the sheriff's office. This is for two 2019 Ford F-150s for their motor pool, and there are multiple. The total on those two is $79,976, and then there's multiple trade-ins. So we've wound up with a credit of $59,350. So we will be paying out $20,626. And unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ray?
No, it looks good. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we'd accept the purchase request as has been presented to us by Ray.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion has been made to accept the purchase requisitions as presented. All in support of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 2, Emergency Services Report, Sheriff Pulsfer.
Well, as the weather has continued to get a little bit better throughout the community, the number of SAR call-outs has gone up. In the last 30 days, we've actually had 18 different search and rescue call-outs. At this time, I don't think I need to go through each and every one of them, but one of the things I would like to stress is that 4 of those call-outs have been to the Gunlock Falls area, where people are just flat out not paying attention to the dangers of the swift-moving water. The case that was yesterday was actually a female that was sitting in one of the upper pools, not realizing the power of the water. The water started to push. She's sliding down. There's a lot of moss and stuff on those rocks. Pushed her down to where she went off into the lower pool, but because the current so much took her and went off the big falls into that area where the drowning was that was just a few weeks ago. So somehow we've got to educate and inform our people of the dangers of being out there.
currently, the water is flowing a little bit higher rate than what it was even 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
With the warmer weather, it's bringing the rest of the snow melt stuff down off, so that influx of water into the Gunlock Reservoir is now coming with a spillway at a pretty good rate. And when we did the drowning, the recovery on that, we actually were able to use sandbags to put across the dike to try and divert the water. That's not going to work if we get called back out there because of the water flow is actually that much increased. So as people are recreating, please be aware of the conditions, know where you're going. If you're going up in the high country, those temperatures and things can change in an instant. You'll be very comfortable in shorts and a t-shirt, and all of a sudden you're going to be in freezing degree temperatures and rain and stuff. And so pay attention, and please stay out of the swift moving waters and stay away from those streams and rivers unless you really are planned, educated, and have the proper gear, safety equipment, life vests and such.
Sheriff, have you communicated with state parks some of your concerns? And is there anything that we can do that could placard or deny access to that area while these overflows are creating a life safety issue for our residents and visitors?
I'm actually having quite a few conversations with the lieutenant over state parks out of the Cedar City office, and trying to figure out what can be done quickly to help educate individuals. Sort of going in and removing the rock, but that just encourages more people to jump off a 60-foot cliff, which is not always the smartest thing to do either. So,
Okay. Thank you for
Thank you.
your exceptional leadership and service. We
Do you
appreciate
remember a Gunlock running overflow like this long?
it. Yeah,
yeah.
05.
05, it ran this long into the year.
yeah.
And then again, I believe in 2010. Been quite a few years in between, but it does happen.
Seems like it's probably going to be running for the next month or so, I would think.
At least. Yeah,
That's
Pine
pretty-
Valley, the north side of it's just starting to melt. It melts in June, so.
Incredible.
The full report I did forward to Diane and Nicole so they can get you that if you want to look at all the details on it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Item 3, consideration of ordinance number 2019-1139-0, an ordinance implementing a sales and use tax for transportation facilities and public transit. And Commissioners, if I could, I'd like to take just a minute to frame this conversation a little bit to initiate our discussion and debate. I remember coming on with the county, and I hate to say how many years ago, but it was nearly 30 years ago, and we prided ourselves that the county was able to maintain its roads and infrastructure, and our public road infrastructure is the most expensive and valuable asset the county owns. And we were able to do that with B&C road tax. And as oil prices edged up and the tax stayed flat for long periods of time, and oil went from $7 and $8 a barrel to as high as $100, $120 a barrel. Now it's about $52. It's become increasingly difficult for not only the county but all of our communities to maintain the roads. And they say that $1 spent on road maintenance equals about $10 worth of new asphalt. In Washington County, and I can't speak for each of the communities, what portion of their general fund ends up flowing into their transportation related expenses, but for Washington County, we're transferring about $500,000 a year annually into our roads department, and that's because the B&C Road Fund is just simply insufficient to maintain the roads that we've got. Another observation is that as the county has grown, and especially with the influx of tourists, we're seeing an exceptional amount of wear and tear on the backcountry roads that the county has to maintain and maintain regularly, so that people can safely traverse these roadways without damaging their vehicles and getting stuck. Recently, the legislature passed legislation that designated $100 million for hotspot funding to take care of some of the critical areas in the state Cottonwood Canyon up on the Wasatch Front, and in Washington County, the Zion Corridor are areas that were highlighted. And UDOT went through quite a selective process of determining where and how those funds could best be used to address shortfalls. And they earmarked or designated, earmarked is not a good word, they designated $15 million to be used to help mitigate the issues related to State Road 9 between Hurricane and Laverican and our largest cul-de-sac in the county, which is Springdale. And I'm happy to recognize the mayor of Springdale and Rick Wixom, their manager, is with us, as well as Mayor Brommel from Hurricane. We've also received a letter of support from the city of St. George, and all of these communities have expressed interest in having the county look at this. And so the legislature and UDOT, through this process, identified as one of the projects they wanted to put high on their priority list was a transit system from St. George to Springdale. Now, transit is just a small part of this overall funding puzzle. And the $15 million that UDOT has pledged towards the basically underwriting half of the cost of a 10-year transit system between St. George and Springdale shows their commitment to helping us find a solution to getting cars off the road, enabling our visitors and tourist residents to commute from one end of the county and to be able to do that more efficiently than they're doing it now. There's just a lot that has gone into this, and we've been working with our communities, and I felt really strong support from them over this past year as we've talked about various ways that we might be able to not only bring increased revenue for the road maintenance issues that we face, but also a potential funding source for the transit system that UDOT is incentivizing with a $15 million grant. So, Commissioners, I'm open to your comments, your suggestion. I know that we've got a couple of mayors here who may wish to speak to this. We've got a letter from Mayor Pike. I don't have mine right here where I can find it right now, but why don't I give you an opportunity to read that, and then if any of the other mayors who are here would like to speak to this issue, I would entertain that. And we also have a letter from and a resolution from Ivan City as well in support of the action we're contemplating today. So, Mayor or Commissioner Almquist.
Well, Chair, thank you. I might abbreviate a little bit instead of reading the entire letter, but it is in support of any possible positive action we would take towards the quarter-cent sales tax tonight. It's important to note, though, that Mayor Pike, in addition to them already having Suntran, looks forward to the opportunity to be able to improve their roads beyond the funds that they're using to subsidize. So they're seeing an opportunity here to improve the roads. And he and I have talked about the fact that if anyone agrees that all of our roads are perfect and that all of our potholes are filled and that we can go where we want to go with ease, that would be a false statement. So looking forward to the opportunity to have some funds for that is important, but also in supporting this multi-community transit that you've spoken about. He concludes by saying that while he's not able to attend, he is in support of us passing such tax tonight. He also stresses that while any additional taxes should be avoided as much as possible, I think we all agree with that. This happens to be, though, one of those places where a tax is justified by the very people that use the road, not just by solidifying some sort of revenue from a source where they feel they would have no direct value as a result of the tax. So anyway, that's from the mayor of St. George.
I think one of the points that needs to be made here is when the state legislature gave this option to local governments, they basically have given county until the end of the year to implement this. At that time, it would be open to the cities to implement it. And that begs the question, why would the county do this? The reason that the county would consider this opposed to allowing the cities is that we need a county-wide transportation system. It wouldn't be right to have, for example, one city that has a lot of shopping and a lot of sales revenue to be able to have better roads and then not be able to continue to work as we do in kind of a larger planning, in a larger planning capacity. The second point, obviously, it's been made by the chairman, is that we have, this offer of partnership with UDOT on this transit system and how to fund our portion of that. And this also offers a solution to that as we see our county and everybody's, who especially our city leaders that are here, know that they're starting to fall farther and farther behind on their maintenance and farther behind on the improvements that we need for a fast-growing community. And if we continue to fall farther and farther behind the ball, we're not going to be able to maintain that system. And so I think those two things are very important, why we would consider this action. One is that it's better to do this county-wide than in a year from now allow communities to start to implement this on a piecemeal basis. And what's been so great and what we continue to champion in this community is we've had discussions with our mayors and communities large and small. They all support the county going forward on this, where in actuality, some of our larger communities, it'd probably be as in somewhat of their best interest to, just wait a year and then they would pull it and do it. But they've all been saying, look, we need to look at this on a county-wide basis as far as transportation. And another thing is people probably don't think about this a lot, but the beauty of our county, also Mother Nature has built a lot of restrictions on where and how we can expand our transportation system. Transit is a possible solution, and it's a solution that I think we owe it to take a look at and explore. There's been quite a bit of this conversation has been around the transit system that would run to Zions, but that's only a smaller portion. 60% of this revenue would be directly for maintenance and upkeep of roads inside of our cities, and it would directly go back to the cities. The portion that the county actually receives is fairly small, but boy, we have more and more people out on roads now in our county, and this will be important for us to maintain the countywide system as well.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mayor Smith, would you like to weigh in on this at all? And I would extend the same invitation to Mayor Brommel, and I notice also Councilman Bellison from Washington. If he would like to speak to us, we'd allow that as well.
Thank you for this opportunity. As anybody that knows me over the last 6 years, I'm very passionate about this transit system, but the thing that and you've stated the circumstances really well, it's not just a transit system, it's something that's needed. And one of the things that I'm excited about is the county is working together as a county, not individuals trying to better the entire county. Springdale has pledged its monies, its whatever it could do to support that. When the tax went to the people 2 years ago, it passed in Springdale, saying yes, the residents were in favor of whatever we needed to do. One of the ways it's going to benefit the county through Springdale, and I've mentioned this several times, as far as the transit, is there's a lot of jobs up in Springdale that are unfilled, that are nice paying jobs. There's a lot of people that we interview that don't have a way to get to and from Springdale on a regular basis. This transit would then benefit those that are in St. George, Ivins, wherever they are, to get up and be able to take these jobs that are waiting for somebody to fill, and thus bringing money back into their communities from the money that we're looking at up in Springdale. But all in all, like I said, you've stated it, Springdale's very, very in favor of this tax, though taxes aren't funded to raise and put on people, but this one is one that needs to be enforced, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed that Mayor Leach also came in. If you'd like to speak following Mayor Brommel and tell us what your communities or your thoughts are, we would welcome that.
Mayor John Bramall, Hurricane, Utah. Our community, and I certainly support the tax. I hate supporting new taxes. I pay my fair share. I think we all pay our fair share. The only advantage of the quarter-cent sales tax is the tourists that come through, 40,000 a day on an average, will be paying a lot, about 60% of that sales tax. So out of $1 million taken in, they'll pay $600,000, and our locals will pay $400,000. That's an advantage to the sales tax. But the other thing is, in old cities and old countries, they've gone to transit systems. Why? They don't want to give up all of their farmland and all of their scenic beauty to roads everywhere. And I don't think Rockville wants an 8-lane road through it, and Springdale doesn't want an 8-lane road through it. And a bus system prevents us from spending $400 to $800 million over the next 40 years on expanding up to 7 roads and looking like LA here. So if we can spend a quarter-cent sales tax and take a $15 million gift that we've worked 14 years on to get from the state, I think it's a wise business decision. And even though I'm generally opposed to new taxes, I would support the county in doing it. And if the county doesn't do it, then we as a city would act ourselves to help support a countywide program that goes through Washington, Hurricane, Rockville, and up to Springdale, so that people can go from Tuacahn to Zion National Park. We're all getting older, and someday at 70, 75, a lot of people lose their licenses for glaucoma, or they get Parkinsonism or start having blackouts or whatever. And that bus system looks really good to seniors and handicapped and to our poor and needy. And I'm all in support of private systems also. They're there, and it's $15 to $25. We do a public system, they'll probably spend $1 to $2 to ride the bus. So they won't compete with the people who can pay the cab or the private bus that drives them straight through. But anyway, so I'm in favor of the county taking this action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Leach.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I agree with what both Mayor Stan Smith was saying and Mayor Bramall. None of us want additional taxes, but when they go for a good purpose, which this transit system is for the county, then we are in support of it. And it's needed. As we see the increase in tourism in the area, I've spoken with a number of our residents, and they all say they've lived in places where there are transit systems and have used them, and think they are a wonderful thing that our county could use. So thank you very much. We are in support.
Thank you. I would like to just read I've asked Troy. Oh, Troy? Okay, I thought you had demurred.
I don't know that I have anything important to say over what the other mayors have already said, but I think it I think it is important that it's been brought up earlier that our communities do work really well together, and that is true and has been true for all of Southern Utah people living down here. But when it comes to transit or people getting around, people being connected, we haven't had that tie-in, and so to have a county-wide transit system, I think, is a good thing, and I'm looking forward to see it come together. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hart enclosed and sent a resolution. I won't read the resolution of support, but it says, Washington County Commissioners, Ivan City has passed the attached resolution in favor of the county-imposed fourth quarter sales tax increase for transportation and transit. Cordially, Chris Hart, Ivan City Mayor. So, Commissioners, we have an ordinance before us for our consideration, and I'm curious if there's more discussion or if there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2019-1139-0, an ordinance implementing a sales and use tax for transportation, facilitating, and transportation facilities and public transit.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded in support of ordinance number 2019-1139-0. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 4.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. And I would like to recognize as well, we've got Myron Lee, our 5-county director. Brian is with us as well, and so thank you for your show of support. Item number 4, this is going to be a public hearing, and upon a motion, I will entertain opening the public hearing to provide an opportunity for interested individuals to comment on renewal of an agriculture protection area.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we open the public hearing on the agriculture protection area.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to open a public hearing on the issue of the agricultural protection area. If there is anyone who would like to step forward and speak to it, they may now do so if they would state their name for the record. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in support of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5 then, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2479, a resolution renewing the existing agriculture protection zone in New Harmony.
I believe these are renewed every 10 years, or is it every?
20 years, I believe.
Okay. So it's pretty standard practice. Property owners applied for it. It's something that's allowed under state law and something that we were allowed to give. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2019-2479, a resolution renewing the existing agriculture protection zone in New Harmony.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded in support of resolution R 2019-2479. All in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2480, a resolution establishing Washington County's general fees and grandma fees for services of the Washington County Records Management Archives Department. Brian, can you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So we've kind of just updated the fee schedule for those. So when somebody makes a GRAMA request or a Government Records Access Management Act request for records, if the the county can charge for the time that it takes to gather and compile the records. The first 15 minutes are free, but then after that, the code allows to charge for the cost of the lowest paid employee that's qualified to do that work. Our fee schedule just had a dollar amount, but we updated it to follow that language so we're not locked into a specific dollar amount, but that we follow the language of the employee that is qualified to.
And would this create a consistent framework for all county departments, or would there still be variations by department?
Yeah, it should for most of the departments, yeah.
Thank you. Questions for Brian?
You know,
For
Brian,
discussion.
I know it's the right, and I had anticipated using the GRAMA process myself once and didn't need to, but you know, it's theoretic that somebody could come and say to send a letter and say, I want you to tell me everywhere in any public setting or any meeting that was ever held where the word tortoise was used. Are there any protections against such a broad request when in reality, if they could focus on a time period or a particular meeting where something was discussed, do we have any capability of limiting when that request might be frivolous and to the extent that it would take months for an employee to simply try to do that?
So yes and no, I guess. Yes, we can limit against just frivolous requests. Part of the ways that we could do that. So public records are public records, and the public has the ability to look at those records, right? But so part of the analysis is if it's private, protected, or controlled, that would limit the access to those. But the other aspect to what you're talking about is if it is going to take a large amount of work and cost more than $50, then we can request that those fees be paid up front, and then after we, or an estimate of what those fees might be, and then we keep track of the time, and then if we're running through the fees that are paid, then request more fees to continue doing the work. So we can do those to try and narrow the scope of what maybe some large requests may be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Motion.
Well, I move on item number 6, the approval of resolution number R 2019-2479, renewing the 2480, a resolution establishing Washington County's general fees and grandma fees for services of the Washington County Records Management Archives Department.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded in support of Resolution R 2019-2480. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2481, a resolution approving a participation commitment and delegation of authority interlocal agreement with the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District regarding wildland fire suppression. And I see our fire chief, Tom Kuhlman, here. Tom, would you, it runs vaguely in my mind that we discussed this in our last board meeting of the Hurricane Valley. Could you, and Adam?
We did, Commissioner Cox. The county participates in the Wildland Suppression Fund. Part of the agreement that you have with the state fire forestry and state lands is that you will do some participation commitments that either require a budgetary amount or an in-kind contribution. By the organization of the fire district, we do those in your behalf. This agreement allows us to credit those to the county and to spread it across the whole purpose or the whole map of the fire district rather than just one entity. So we're doing this with the county as well as with each of the municipalities we serve so that our current efforts can count towards all of their participation commitment matches.
Thank you. Adam, maybe you could clarify for us what the purpose of the fire mitigation, what exactly the state is trying to accomplish, what the county and the Special Service District, how we benefit from entering into this agreement with the state.
Yeah, you bet. And as you know, this is something we've been working on for a few years now since we went to this new fire program with all the counties and allowed the cities to participate in our fire program as well. And really what this agreement does with all the cities and the county participating with the fire district, we only have to do the paperwork once instead of doing it for every city and the county for the portion that the district covers. They'll be able to do it all
comprehensively
for that. And so we really put a focus on, instead of the way the program used to be set up, is the county used to pay a premium to participate in the suppression fund, and the county would cut a check every year. Well, instead of cutting a check and giving the state the money, we've asked the local governments that participate in our program to reinvest that money locally. 50% of it has to be done in mitigation, 25% can be prevention education, the other 25% is building up capacity for firefighting, suppression training, equipment, that sort of stuff. So that money's staying local, and the prevention side of the mitigation side of it, we have data that shows us for every dollar we spend in mitigation, we're saving $17 in suppression costs. So
A great investment, 17 to 1.
great investment, and we're basing it all off risk. So we have data and mapping that shows where the risks are in the city and the county. So we're concentrating on those high-risk areas. It'll help bring that down, which in turn will reduce the severity of these large fires. Some areas of the county, those fuels are light, flashy fuels. It's going to be hard to manipulate that, but we've got areas where there's heavy timber, really thick pinyon juniper, where we're making strides.
Sure. Yeah, Central and by example. Fire season coming as well as
4th of July.
fireworks season coming. Larger municipalities have adopted areas that are off limits or have restricted fireworks to certain areas.
Yeah,
County is huge, so
Yes.
what do we do?
So everyone did it like they did last year. There's a map on the county website that shows where those areas are that you can discharge fireworks. You can't discharge them in the unincorporated areas of the county. Typically, by this time of year, we're in fire restrictions. This year's been a little different. And as we look at going into fire restrictions, it's going to be a little tricky this year because we've got a huge problem in the lower elevations with the grass, and it's curing out and it can be problematic. But up in the mountains, not so much. It may be one of those summers where we don't have restrictions up at Co-op like we have since I've been the fire warden here every summer before then. We haven't had a lot of major issues in the unincorporated areas because we've gone into restrictions before fireworks, and the cities have done a really good job of sending people to good areas where people can go, still light off whatever they want that's legal and have a good time. We're still going to get some stray things here and there, following the laws, but our citizens in this county do a really good job of. We haven't had as many problems the last few years since we went. Good mapping and putting that information.
Thank you. Thank you both for all
Appreciate you, both of
the
you.
great work that you do in keeping us safe and keeping fires under control.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2019-2481, a resolution approving a participation commitment and delegation of authority interlocal agreement with the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District, integrating wildland fire suppression.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. All in support of Resolution R 2019-2481, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 8 on today's agenda is consideration of Resolution R 2019-2482, a resolution approving an updated policy for the use of the St. George, Hurricane, and Enterprise Senior Centers. And is Brian Akins present? Yes. Brian, would you like to tell us about that?
So it's been since 2006 since the policy was apparently addressed. And so Chris, myself, and the 3 center supervisors got together and came up with a few changes that we've made to the rental policy, and in accordance with the attorney's office. And I think you have those forms in front of you, and with the changes that were made. And so,
Great. You've worked hard.
any questions for me?
It's my understanding that because of some of the federal funding, we're somewhat restricted uses of the Senior Citizen Center as well, right?
That is correct.
So part of this is county policy, part of it's
Maintained.
driven by federal
Mandates.
Federal mandates,
Rules,
so-
regulations, yes.
Exactly.
No, it looks good.
Okay.
I make a motion, Chair. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
that we adopt a resolution R 2019-2482, resolution approving an updated policy for use of the St. George Hurricane and Enterprise Senior Centers.
I'll second that motion.
All in support of motion R 2019-2482, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 9, consideration of resolution R 2019-2483, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Utah Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, and Washington County. Jason.
Looks like the sheriff abandoned you.
They always do. I apologize for being kind of in the grubby clothes today. We just got done with Seg Miller Peter site, so we've been working on that today. So we just came directly here. This MOU is it's for the state to be able to use some of our facilities for staging of resources in an emergency. So I think it basically names the Dixie Center and the fairgrounds. That's really the only two that are there. So that's really all it does. It's just really in case of emergency. So any questions? Pretty straightforward.
We've done this in the past. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thanks.
And I believe it's a two-way street, right? I mean, if we need to use their facilities in an emergency, we can. I see a parking lot at Gunlock that they run. If we needed it, it goes both ways, right?
Right. And before Jason sits down, I'd like to recognize Jason Whipple as our new Emergency Services Director, who has recently been appointed and will take the place being vacated by Pete Coleman. And so congratulations.
Yep, congrats. Chair, I move that we consider for adoption resolution number R 2019-2483, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Utah Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, and Washington County.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioners, all in support of resolution R 2019-2483, cast a vote. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Boy, we got a lot of resolutions today.
Yeah, we're just...
Brian, you've been busy. Item number 10, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2484, a resolution appointing members to the Washington County Career Service Council. And I will lead off on this. We've got a couple of members who have served us very long and well. Mike Empey, and former county commissioner, and his name is slipping right now.
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis, that served for 24 years on the county commission, has continued to serve for very many years on our career service board, and we have an alternate that we would recommend, that I would propose become a full member, and Dick Kohler to replace Mike Empey. Both of these gentlemen with terms to expire on June 30th, 2022. And this resolution, R 2019-2484, would do that. So I'll go ahead and make a motion, even though I'm the chair, in support of the resolution.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded in support of these appointments. All in support of resolution R 2019-2484, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2485, a resolution appointing board members to the Angels Springs Special Service District. Commissioner Iverson.
Well, as we have spoken before, we appoint members to the special service districts to function in a variety of capacities. Angel Springs is a water special service district just outside of Leeds, right across the highway there. And we always appreciate people, citizens who are willing to step up and do good work. So the names that we're bringing forward that have been suggested to us are Ben Lott and Madeline Ferguson to serve on this board, replacing Gerald Brain and Derek Freeman. That is my motion, that we accept them to be on the Angel Springs Special Service District.
And so this resolution then would appoint Ben Lott with a term to expire December 31st, 2023, and Madeline Ferguson with a term to expire on December 31st, 2020.
Absolutely.
All right.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion
Second.
made and seconded. All in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 12, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2486, a resolution appointing members to the Washington County Library Board. I'm honored, Commissioners, to represent the County Commission on that library board, and we've had a couple of members that have served one term. Under state statute, they may serve two. These people, Michelle Mitchell and Robert Goulding, have attended and participated in the library board meetings faithfully, and their input has been beneficial and valuable for the libraries. And I would like to congratulate them and applaud their service and nominate and, with this resolution, reappoint them. The terms to expire June 30th, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All in support, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Chair, wouldn't you agree that our libraries are changing and that they offer so many new services and ways to gain knowledge? I think generally I'd love the public to just be encouraged to go and visit a library, see the displays of history, and like the Washington City Library branch and our own here with various opportunities to show your talents. It's an amazing thing to go to the library now, not just for books.
It's not just books. That's incredible, and I'm thankful that you brought that up. We've got maker spaces in two of them now, and a third going in Washington. E-books, and so you can check out e-books, and so we're keeping up with technology. I think that's a great thing. And Joel Tucker, our library director, is doing a phenomenal job. Item number 13, consideration of resolution. I got to see if it's 5:10 yet.
We gone over time? We might
No,
just have
I
to
just had a
postpone
bet
this.
with Commissioner Almquist that I could make this meeting go till 5:10, but I think I prefer to lose the bet rather than drag the meeting on, so.
Yeah, I could have spoken a little more on some of these appointments, you know.
Item number 13, consideration of resolution number R 2019-2487, a resolution approving a contract between Washington County and Schmidt Construction, Inc. for the purpose of completing the Middle Pinto Bridge project. Ron, are you here? Did you come tell us? We've been talking about the Middle Pinto Bridge project for some time.
Appreciate you giving me the chance to extend this meeting till 5:10.
You've got about 17 minutes, so no hurry.
Now, this is a project we've been working with.
I think if we added up the different meetings that we've had on this project, we've probably spent about 7 or 8 hours talking about this already.
At least we would. This is something we've been working with the Forest Service for quite some time, like you said. It's a replacement of the bridge right in Pinto. They call it the Middle Pinto Bridge, but it's the one leading right into Pinto from the Mountain Meadow side. It's got some structural damage underneath, and they were concerned that we get that replaced. They've got a in-place road agreement they keep with us to fund the project and have the county bid it out because we can do it faster and cheaper and better in many cases without going through all the government requirements. We still have to build it to their specs and their standards, but it's a little easier process to bid through us. So we had a bid for this. We had 3 contractors provide us bids on it, and Schmidt Construction out of Cedar City was the apparent low bidder, and the Forest Service has worked with them on other like projects and felt like they would do a good job. That's who I recommend.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Questions for Ron?
No, it seems like I remember that we're going to be using wood beams on it, or how's that? Is it the big heavy beams across it?
It's a wood bridge. The Forest Service has written into their operations plan now that all structures across live streams, and that will be wooden structures with open bottoms. So we've had to replace culverts that are full round culverts because it didn't have an open bottom, and this is a bridge that they've put in they're replacing with a wooden structure, and they're pretty good bridges, built pretty good designs. They've been putting in some of them for years. In 2005, they had a wood bridge, first bridge down from the Enterprise Dam, and that baby was there a long time before it finally went out. About the third day, I believe, that it finally took it out, but that little wood bridge up there stood there a long time, so they're a good product.
Thank you.
Well, and I should stress that if anyone wants to go back in time and feel like they're going over a piece of history that are very few in the state, maybe only 2 or 3 left, and that is our reconstruction and refurbishment of the Rockville Bridge, Mayor. And I was there one day when a 10-wheeler full of gravel or rocks went over, and I was looking right at the undergirding of the bridge itself, and it did not sag one bit. And I was actually proud not only of the reconstruction, but the original design to see how strong it was. So it's a real treat to have that still in our county.
There's some amazing engineering design in those old bridges, and steel structures were really strong.
Yeah, neat.
Okay.
I move that we approve Resolution R 2019-2487, approving a contract between Washington County and Schmidt Construction, Inc. for the purpose of completing the Middle Tow Bridge project.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded for Resolution R 2019-2487. All in support of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Our final agenda item is our commissioner's report. I would just like to make one statement reinforcing the sheriff's earlier with 18 search and rescue call-outs past month, and the unique nature of what we're seeing in the county right now, both from a fire, floodwaters from the melting snow, the streams are swift, the water is cold, a lot of dangers there. And finally,
Tourists pouring in.
yeah, and finally, a lot of people like going hikes this time of year. It's warming up here in the valley. We can have temperatures popping 100 degrees. And one of the favorite hikes is up over Pine Valley Mountain, but it's hard to imagine when you crest the top of that peak, you run into 8 to 10 feet of snow still.
Yeah.
And it's easy to lose the trail. It's easy to get ledged up. So let others know where you're going, when you'll be back. Take a cell phone, other means of communicating. Dress appropriately, take food and water. Any other comments?
Agree with all of that. In fact, I live right above the Virgin River and look at it, and the number of people tubing down the river on Saturday was amazing, one after another, and having the time of their life. And you just want to scream out and say, well, there's a fish weir coming up. Get around that. And, you know, there are dangers being on the river, of course, but it is obvious people are using it. Chair, and I don't want to upstage Victor at all, but I would like for Adam Snow for 2 minutes to give us an update on some of the things he's helping us with and working on. And maybe after Victor, so you can get your thoughts together. But I thought your report in Beaver last week was amazing, and thank you for that.
No, I'll just yield all of my time to Adam. As long as you can drag it out another 10 minutes.
You got 10 minutes, Adam.
No, you have two minutes.
Adam Snow, Congressman Chris Stewart's office, just wanted to say to what I believe you're talking about with the Zion corridor and also with wild horses. Were those the two that you wanted me to talk about? Okay. Wild horses, we had a summit in Reno, Nevada 2 weeks ago now regarding free roaming wild horses and other equids. The solution has evaded the people of Congress for a couple of years now. We've tried various things, hasn't come forward through both the House and the Senate to be able to get to the president's desk. So what we've done this time is to find the parties that have traditionally blocked some of the solutions and bring them together and say what is it that we can do so that we can have healthy horse herds on healthy ranges. Many of the herds are drastically overnumbered, but not all. Some are healthy and doing quite well. some are healthy, but other rangelands are a moonscape. The springs are gone, the forage is gone. And for anybody who likes horses, that means you're watching dead, dying horses. Washington County does have one satellite herd up near Enterprise. They got away from the horse management area, about 36 horses. But throughout the western edge of Utah and Nevada, there's tons and tons of horses. It's where most of the horses in the country live. We were able to bring together the various groups, the Humane Society, ASPCA, and others, and we all had to negotiate on a few items, but we did come with an agreement and have presented that to Congress. The language is moving forward. It pulls horses off the rangelands and moves them other places so that the land can start to rehabilitate. Better for the horses, better for wildlife. Now we're just trying to get additional funding for it. The funding is not quite as high as we'd like it to be. We are moving forward, and
That plan continue to expand the number of horses that you're keeping in long-term care?
it does, yes. There's no euthanasia in that plan, so these are long-term care, but they're off-range long-term care of the horses. But it allows for population control methods. So they're not just breeding continuing the issue. In that group, at that summit, there was a growth modeler biologist, I believe from Wyoming, who showed that in 12 years or so, we're in the multiple of millions of horses at the growth rate of doubling about every 4 years. The other thing we're spending, so that's priority number 1 or 2. The other arguable number 1 or 2, also relevant to Washington County that the congressman is working on, is the Zion visitor use management, trying to better spread people around the park to improve the experience and help with funding and whatever we can do. He'll be here discussing that issue in a couple months. I can tell you now, we got word that some of the high people at the Department of the Interior and the National Park Service will be joining us.
Very good.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank
Appreciate
the
you.
Congressman for his good work as well.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I could just take 30 seconds.
You can actually take 7 minutes if you want me to win.
I want to win the bet. I just wanted to just make everyone aware that the Boulevard remodel has begun. It started on Monday. We're doing everything we can to have proper signage to still be able to accommodate anyone that needs to go into that building. All the offices and departments will remain open. Might be a little bit trickier to get to that department, but we definitely have still provided handicap accessibility and things like that to be able to accommodate everyone that needs to be accommodated during this time. It's going to be probably about at least a 6-month process, but I think we have a great group over there, and with lots of good communication, I think that it will run as smoothly as possible. So just wanted to make the public aware of that.
Very good.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you for your work spearheading that effort. With that, I'll declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.